This is the Mind the Gap podcast from the Time Signal Limited. It's presented by Michael Comyn. Please like, subscribe and share with your friends. Programme notes and more information are available on mindthegap.ie. Here's Michael.
It's been an interesting 24 hours. Watching the world coming to terms with a new reality, while at the same time, radio and TV studios are populated by experts trying to rationalise the irrational. For a lot of people, there's a sense of disbelief and what the hell happened? But as any fan of history will remind you, we've most likely been here before, and maybe in this lifetime, we'll be here again. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca reminds us,
fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant.
As a society, are we willingly headed into a new dark age? Or are we being dragged there by forces more significant than ourselves, drawn towards leaders who promise strength and certainty over compassion and understanding? Recently, as election results flash across screens and citizens worldwide brace for the fallout, many intellectuals and academics sit in dismay, clutching their proverbial pearls, wondering how we got here. They worry that the ideals they champion, emotional intelligence, compassion, and self-awareness, are vanishing in a political tide that seems to reward division and divisiveness over empathy and wisdom. But even as these intellectuals may feel disconnected from the current zeitgeist, we may need their guidance more than ever. The insights of academia, philosophy, psychology, the study of compassionate leadership have the potential to not just provide a map through the darkness, but light a path towards a brighter future. In times of profound uncertainty, the collective psyche of society tends to lean towards leaders who project strength, decisiveness, and clarity, qualities that may seem diametrically opposed to the empathic, emotionally intelligent leaders that we often endorse on podcasts like this. Why? Because, as psychology teaches us, fear seeks resolution. When faced with economic instability, political turbulence, or social upheaval, the complex solutions offered by philosophers and social scientists can feel less reassuring than the simple, even blunt promises of a strong leader. However, it's crucial to remember that empathy and emotional intelligence are not just academic concepts, but essential qualities for effective leadership in times of any crisis. This yearning for security is a tale as old as time. The German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche aptly put it,
"In individuals, insanity is rare, but in groups, parties, nations, and epochs, it is the rule."
When fear unites people, their quest for stability can sometimes overshadow their appreciation of empathy. History bears witness to this, as threatened societies often embrace leaders who promise safety, even at the expense of freedom, compassion, or any intellectual rigour. In our collective response to the crisis, the allure of strong leaders is potent, but potentially misleading. In such moments, society could benefit more from the teachings of emotional intelligence, the belief that true strength lies not in certainty, but in resilience, patience, and a capacity to hold ambiguity without succumbing to anger or fear. Yet, when panic sets in, the quieter voices of intellectuals and compassionate leaders can seem drowned out by the loud proclamations of certainty and control. Many people struggling under daily pressures view compassionate leadership or intellectual reflection as impractical. They may feel that empathy or emotional intelligence are luxuries that society cannot afford in times of crisis. While ideal in stable times, compassion is perceived as lacking the immediacy needed to address pressing threats. In other words, when survival's the goal, people are often willing to sacrifice empathy for security. Jean-Jacques Rousseau said,
"Man is born free, but everywhere he is in chains."
In times of hardship, These chains become self-imposed constraints that narrow our perspectives. Compassion, kindness, and the intellectual reflection may be seen as indulgent or irrelevant when people fear for their economic security or personal safety. In such times, the nuanced, emotionally intelligent leader seems out of place, and society may instead favour the polarising, unyielding figure who offers a simple, direct path, even if that path bypasses empathy or wisdom. It is ironic that emotional intelligence and compassion are often viewed as extravagances, when in reality they form the bedrock of long-term societal resilience. Research shows that compassionate leadership, grounded in empathy, builds trust and promotes social cohesion and stability. However, though well documented, these benefits may seem abstract or intangible compared to the immediate solutions promised by a more authoritarian approach. Today, many intellectuals and academics are dismissed as out of touch with the concerns of everyday people. They're labelled as elites or ivory tower thinkers who lack practical understanding. It's easy to see why. Intellectuals promote complex, nuanced perspectives that often demand introspection, sacrifice, and long-term thinking. These qualities are challenging to embrace in a world prioritising speed, productivity, and visible results. French philosopher Michel Foucault once observed,
"People know what they do. Frequently they know why they do what they do. But what they don't know is what they do does."
In other words, people may mock intellectuals because they don't understand the broader consequences of rejecting intellectual guidance. It's as if society would rather poke fun at the intellectuals rather than listen to their warnings. But history has shown time and again that societies ignore their thinkers at their peril. Intellectuals study the fabric of human behaviour, research that makes societies flourish or fail, and teach empathy, emotional intelligence, and compassion not as luxuries but as necessities. It's easy to mock these values in the short term. Still, they provide the glue that holds a society together over generations. We may often be tempted to dismiss academia as out of step with real-world issues. Still, in the grand scheme, we need the wisdom of our thinkers to navigate these challenging times. They may seem anxious now, but their guidance could keep society from unravelling. Psychologist Henri Taffel's theory of social identity tells us that group loyalty can overpower individual values. When people align strongly with a group identity, they may prioritise the group's values over their personal beliefs in compassion or wisdom. In polarising times, this tribal loyalty becomes particularly potent as people cling to leaders who affirm their beliefs and validate their fears. Social media intensifies this effect, acting as an echo chamber that rewards extreme views. The loudest, most emotionally charged messages spread the fastest, often silencing more balanced, compassionate voices. Philosopher Marshall McLuhan famously noted,
"The medium is the message."
In today's age, the medium of social media amplifies polarising leaders. It obscures those who advocate for empathy, self-reflection, and collective understanding. Leaders who appeal to base emotions, anger, fear, and blame gain visibility. At the same time, intellectual voices, emphasizing calm and emotional intelligence, are often sidelined. This digital landscape distorts reality, creating a perception that society's problems can be solved through simple reactionary measures rather than thoughtful, complex solutions. Leaders who lean into these extremes rise to prominence, casting the intellectuals as irrelevant or out of touch. Yet in this environment, the need for academic guidance is stronger than ever. Intellectuals and academics are removed from the urgency of daily crises. Still, their insight offers a critical balance to the emotional swings of social media-driven politics. Historians like Oswald Spengler and Giambattista Vico observe that history unfolds in cycles, oscillating between enlightenment and decline, compassion and control. Each era reacts against the last, driven by a yearning for what was missing. Vico believed that after every dark period comes enlightenment, and after every enlightenment a return to darkness. If we enter a dark phase, then history suggests that a period of enlightenment may follow. Perhaps intellectuals and academics are not out of touch, but are, in fact, the seeds of the subsequent enlightenment. In promoting emotional intelligence, compassion, and reason, they're quietly building the foundation for a more humane future, even if society currently seems disinterested. Philosopher Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic leader who exemplified emotional intelligence, advised,
"You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength."
Emotional intelligence, often dismissed as a weak in turbulent times, is a profound strength. Compassionate leadership may not offer immediate answers, but it cultivates resilience, adaptability, and patience, the qualities most needed to guide society out of its darker phases. As we close this episode, consider this. While society may sometimes dismiss intellectuals as irrelevant or naive, their teachings hold enduring value. Emotional intelligence, compassion, and empathy are not just ideals. They're tools for survival, as vital in times of crisis as in times of peace. Society may turn temporarily to leaders who offer strength without wisdom. Still, history shows that wisdom will eventually be needed to heal. Viktor Frankl, who survived one of humanity's darkest chapters, said,
When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves.
While we may not be able to change the broader social trend, we can choose to embody the values of empathy and emotional intelligence in our own daily lives. We can choose to listen to the thinkers, learn from history, and recognize that true strength lies not in simplicity or certainty, but in compassion and wisdom. But as intellectuals, thinkers, and philosophers sit in radio and TV studios, they may hold the insight we need in their hands. The pendulum may swing, but within each of us is the choice to lead with compassion, even in the most uncertain times. Please, mind the gap.
That was the Mind the Gap podcast. It was presented by Michael Comyn. Please like and subscribe and tell your friends about it. You'll find more information and episode notes on www.mindthegap.ie.